It's a very good evening and welcome to the Reds Report, Barnsley FC's longest running podcast. Of course, proud to be associated with the TalkSport Fans Network. As always, joining us. Well, I saw some photos, Ian. It looked more like, Switzerland and Austria than it did sort of Lancashire, but it's been bad up there, hasn't it?
Yeah, we've still got a bit of snow and ice on the street. -7 driving to work this morning, but we'll get through it. Evening, chaps.
Evening. And of course, also joining us just before he jets off for his mid-winter getaway to a spa where they do mud baths and facials and everything else. It is, of course, Steve. Steve, how are you, mate?
I'm very well, sir. I saw those photos that Ian put on. There were that much white powder. I thought it was Saturday night down Barnsley.
Lads, I've got a bit of a feeling what sort of episode this will be, but let's just get into it. First, two results. Two performances to discuss. The first one being, of course, the win against Bristol City. Now, Bristol Rovers. Devante Cole back at it, scoring the opener. Chris Martin equalised before Corey O'Keefe scored the winner. 3 points is 3 points, and I think especially this vital stage of the season. It's in a very uncertain month who's coming, who's staying, and everything else. So I think it's important to get 3 points on the board. If you had to, give a grade to the performance, Ian, what would you give that one?
Well, I think if you listen back to the last one, I think for only the second time this season, I actually predicted the score right. I said it'd be tough. I said there'd be one goal in it. It'd be a difficult opponent, and they were. I thought, just jumping ahead, I think Carlisle were a lot more difficult than we thought they'd be. But Bristol Rovers, yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I think you talk about both performances, and it's symptomatic of the season. And this is like what Adam Oxley's asked recently, is you look at the table. If you were going to say Neil Collins and how's this season gone, you look at the table and a lot of clubs have snatched their hands off for where we are. But the performances haven't blown us away, have they? We're higher up than where we're actually performing. And you can look at it from two sides, can't you? The positive spin is they didn't collapse after going back 1-1, and they saw the game out and won it, which we've struggled to do earlier in the season. And same against Carlisle, they could have been out of sight, and we turned it around and won a game. That's the positive. The negative is we've not really. I don't think our performances show where we are in the table. We're very up and you don't know what you're going to get on Saturday, and that's the worry. But a win is a win, and you can't beat 2 home wins in 4 days, can you? And it's really put us right in the mix when you look at the league table now.
And it's fair to say, isn't it, Steve, that I know we probably know we're capable of better, and we will have a moan later on about, maybe the midfield disappearing or whatever. But actually, you look at other sides. You look, for instance, at a Portsmouth that suddenly started to wobble and everything else. Grinding a result out maybe says more about us than the performance does. You know what I mean? Against Bristol, though, Corey O'Keefe, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I remember seeing him right at the beginning of the season. I thought, and then sometimes you think, what is he doing? An important winner, and it was also the match that Donovan Pines was announced.
Pine signs.
Yeah, Pine signs. First of all, I know we don't know much about him, but he's played 100 games in sort of like the second tier of the MLS. He's 25, played a couple of times for the men's international team. Dare we compare this to last year when Bobby Thomas came to us, or is that maybe a step too far?
I think he's. No, I don't think you compare him to Bobby Thomas, because Bobby Thomas was used to English football, grown up with English football. I hope that he can hit the ground running. I really can, but I don't think he's played since. Is it October or something like that?
Yeah, they have a break, and
he's got to get match fit. Just because he's 6'5", I suppose it's one of them, isn't it? You'd like to think that he can head a concrete ball. Don't mean to say he can, but you know what? Let's give the lad a chance. Let him get on. I mean, look at Dejivny. his first game, he were absolutely appalling. We were calling for him to be, kick him out at club, drive him out at club, and look at him now. So it just goes to show that your first few games or whatever, let's give him a chance. Let's have a look. Let's see what he can do and see whether he can adapt to English football, I suppose.
Yeah, we combine them anyway. I'll stay with you, Steve. Carlisle. If it's easy, isn't it, to look at stats and to look at the results? It's plus 3 points, and I think you have to say it's a welcome 3 points because we needed to turn that home form around. Performance-wise, maybe not, but the score definitely says that it's plus 3 for Barnsley. Shocking, wasn't it? I can't find against any other team. I think we could have been 3-0 down.
I'm not going to swear. I'm going to, keep it nice and calm. It was not very good, was it? Let's be honest. That first half, I've watched 7-year-old kids playing football on a Sunday morning play better football. Couldn't pass a ball. I can't believe people were slagging Roberts off. Yeah, he made a mistake and they scored from it. How many times has Roberts saved us when he's played this season? Absolute idiots saying anything like that. If you look at both games overall, actually you can look at quite a number of games this season. First and foremost, personally, I think it's a poor league this year. I don't think it's anywhere near the standard it was last year. If it had been, there's no way on God's earth would we have been fifth. We'd have been possibly mid-table, even bottom half. We are grinding results out. But again, against Carlisle, Carlisle came and they frightened us to death that first half. They should have been 3-4. They should have been out of sight, absolutely out of sight. Because some of our players, yet again, and I'm not going to name them, I'm sick of saying them, everybody knows who they are. And yet some people keep thinking that they're phenomenal and the best player we've got. They were nowhere, absolutely nowhere. They weren't putting tackles in. The passing were diabolical, absolutely kid stuff. It was shocking. So that was your first half. Second half, they came out. He made changes straight away, which I thought was good. As much as I know you like O'Keefe, apart from scoring goal against Bristol Rovers, he did bugger all. He lost the ball more times than anybody else. But I'm not going to argue weird about him because I don't like him anyway. I thought that were a good positive change by Collins. Herbie Kane, I thought, had a decent second half, and I'm not a big Herbie Kane fan, as you know, but he did. I hold my hand up. He had a decent second half, lovely penalty. So again, we got 3 points when we shouldn't have done. Really shouldn't have got 3 points out of that game. But you look at where we are now, and you think, wow, how?
Yeah,
that's all I can say. How are we fifth with the standard of football that is being played by all teams, but also the standard of football that we're playing? Because let's be honest, it's not. And anybody who says, it's. I mean, you listen to commentary, and I'm not going to mention any names because it boils my piss, to be quite honest. But some of the stuff that they say on iFollow, I think there must be. I'm sure they're watching a different game. Either that, or there's somebody stood behind them, just keep giving them 10 quid. Say something positive about Phillips as 20 quid. Here, there's another 20 quid. Say something else. Because it's a joke. Absolute joke.
I'm just on about that second half, Ian. I tweeted it as well. I said yesterday to Adam Oxley, I think when we needed leaders on the pitch, I thought Kane and Williams. I think Williams with that run that he made, and then I know we've been hard on him. He's been put in a position that's naturally not his. Look at the pace. He goes past one, and he plays Devante Calling and Kane as well. Not only the penalty, but there's being frustrated, isn't it, when things are not going your way, or there is a leader that tries to change things and tries to G people up. There were players missing. What were your thoughts? Because I thought. Because we often pick people out saying that. I thought Kane and Williams actually, when we needed, they dug deep and delivered. Not just an assist and a goal, but on the pitch and sort of, I suppose, is it man management on the pitch? What would you call it? Was there anybody else that stood out for you? Or
Well, I think first and foremost, the thing that come into my mind is we got away with one big time. Like we said, was it Portsmouth or Peterborough that were 3? Was it Portsmouth that were 3-0 up in 17 minutes or something when they come to Oakwell that time? That could have been similar, but by Carlisle.
Easily.
Yeah, and I messaged you guys and said a mate at work who's a Blackpool fan said they came to Bloomfield Road the other month and they looked awful. They looked like the bubble had burst of promotion. I thought this could be quite a straightforward game, and it was anything but. So, and we're right to call players out when they don't play well, but we're right to praise them as well. And I think Kane has been, by and large, has improved his performances. I've said this, and coincidental when Connell's come back, or since that interview with Adam Oxley, he's and he's been Player of the Month or something like that for the EFL, and it's I think it's justified. It's fair play. He seems to have got his act together by and large, and he's influential in his scoring and his assisting. Williams, we've said all season, whether it's square pegs round holes, he's not in the right position, but he has been poor, and I'd have took his captain armband off him as well. But I think, like I say, a few of them rose up and stood up to be counted, and we've mentioned Kane and Williams, and I think it was enough to get us over the line, really. So credit to them. Whether that, I think Collins had said something like he did worry, would there be a bit of a reaction after beating Bristol Rovers? Would we have a bit of a dip? Cold night, but everybody was off. That was the problem. You can get away with it when 2 or 3 are off, but they were all off. But luckily, a couple stood up in second half, and we just got over the line and we try and move on to Saturday now.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about something that we have talked about a lot, and this is this plan ABC, Collins's plan, because I messaged you both during the match. I listened to the Carlisle commentary and bought a match pass. It was Chris Lumsden, by the way, the ex-Barnsley player, that was the match summariser for him.
I remember him, yeah.
Yeah, and he said, like I said to you, Carlisle are loving this. Barnsley are booting the ball forward, and our defence is picking it up every time. It's very dimensional going forward at Barnsley, and the only dimension, and that's the dimension Carlisle can easily cope with. There's no worries for our backline of Devante Cole running at them because the Barnsley midfield has been nullified. And I thought, spot on. It was their local BBC that did the commentary, and I like listening to the other commentary sometimes to see what they make of Barnsley. And a few times they were saying he can't be happy with this. Surely he has to tactically change it. Bit of a risk, wasn't it? Because, we could have been 3-0 down, but he didn't change anything. Steve, is that an experienced manager that says, give me 15 minutes at halftime and I'll make some changes and we've got 45 minutes to turn this around? Is it stubbornness? Is it good man management? What is that? Because everybody could see that Cole work rate cannot be denied. But if you keep playing it high and he's got 2 defenders around him, he's never going to be doing anything. And that's all we really did. Our midfield was non-existent. Do you think there could have been a plan B earlier, introduced earlier, or change of personnel? Or do you stick and say, actually, what he did was right? Waited for the 15 minutes at half time, got into it, made some changes, and he turned it around?
I still don't think he's got a plan B, to be quite honest. I've yet to work out, and again, people are going to say, look at where we are in table. Yeah, I know where we are in table. I'm trying to work out what style of football he wants to play. Because at one minute, we're tippy-tappy at back, comes into midfield, we play it backwards, we play it sideways, we play it backwards, we play it sideways. And then next minute, it's boom, big ball up. When you've got players like McAtee and Cole on pitch, they're not. Neither of them are brilliant headers of the ball. They need ball to feed. So Cole's one of these strikers. He does nothing for 89 minutes, and then all of a sudden he'll come up with an amazing finish into far corner. And what more can you ask for? But if you don't give him that service, old record here. If you don't give him that service, he looks poor. You give him that service, and he actually looks like an half-decent striker. So I'm still to work out what sort of style of football Collins is trying to bring and trying to impose. I mean, single somebody out from Carlisle. Then Callum Styles. Callum Styles was shocking, but when he brought him on, he moved Styles into midfield, and he still didn't do out. There's people on Twitter slagging Connell off, saying he's having a poor season. What? What are you watching? What are these people watching? It's Connell who's holding others. Yeah, he might not be 100% match fit, but he dropped a ball of a defence onto McAtee running forward. It were absolutely sublime. It was sort of ball that PLO used to play.
And Jan Mulby.
And Jan Mulby, right player that. 25 stone, but didn't have to move, did he? Not wrong with that. It just makes you think some of our fan base are either they don't know about football, and I'm not saying it's my opinion. You don't like it, don't listen. But some of them are just so far off mark. I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. Pines has come in now, and I saw one of these poll things about who would you play.
I saw your reaction.
You saw it, didn't you? Yeah. What? We were slagging McCart off before Christmas, and now he's wonderful, and we'll play Dejivny, Pines, and McCart. What? Grow up. Lapata sat on bench, was probably the best of the two of them, him and Dejivny, before he got his injury, and he can't get back inside. Why not?
Yeah, and obviously Shepherd got in ahead of him, and
which
Shepherd
don't make sense.
At Bristol Rovers looked, I thought looked good. Came back, not being around the first team, but not at many minutes at all. And I thought, oh, look at him. And I'll be honest, I had a fiver on him to score a goal. And yeah. I looked at the rules to see if an own goal would count, because that looked more likely than have a bombing forward.
Well, it's the left foot thing, isn't it? People are going to say, well, on that left-hand side at back three, you want somebody with a left foot. Why? You want somebody who knows what they're doing. You want somebody who can defend. Yeah. Lapata were outstanding beginning of season.
Yeah.
We've all been crying out for Williams to go back to playing as a right wing-back or a right-back. He's not a centre-half. He's made more mistakes than you can shake a stick at.
Yeah.
Lapata's fit. So why is Lapata not playing? Williams pushed it side. And when Pines comes in, I don't know which foot. I don't know if he's right-footed, left-footed, or what he is, Pines. But for me, our strongest back three, by far, would be Lapata, Dejivny, and probably this Pines guy.
Yeah, I agree. Another subject then, Ian. Us three, for sure, and many Barnsley fans have fallen foul of breaking a cardinal football rule, and that is, you never fall in love with any of your loan players. Now we know Robertson's probably staying till the end of the season, and I heard today, I don't know how official it is, but it looks like McAtee is staying as well to the end of the season. And I don't want to use the word lifesavers, but I'd love to know the table and where we will be without John McAtee goals and without the saves that Roberts has done. So fantastic signings for a season, isn't it? What does that mean for our long term as a project, though? Because are these players that are going to get us to League One, to the Championship, hopefully, and then a bit like Eistedt did, and then go and play for another club, and we're looking for something again? Or do we just enjoy it while they're here, and we'll see what happens come May?
Yeah, in some respects, it's very short-termism, because we knew, for instance, Bobby Thomas would only sign if he was if we were a Championship club. Harry Eistedt was happy to sign, but not all of it. You look at like McAtee, his parent club is a Premier League club, and even if they drop down into the Championship, they're going to be a very good Championship club next season. So you kind of think he's not going to want to, as much as he might enjoy it here, he's not going to probably sign permanently, or we can't even afford him. Yeah. Whereas Roberts, I'm not sure. There might be more chance of Roberts, unless he plays that well that all the bigger Championship clubs go, oh, he's all right, we'll snap him up. So it's very short-termism. You've got to live for the moment, and like we did for the last 6 months of last season when the loanees come in January. I think it's quite slim chances of taking any of these on permanently. But then in some respects, it's good business in the short term, because if they're good signings and they give you the momentum like McAtee has, like Roberts has, then you could say, well, that's good scouting, that's good use of the loan system. But we want people permanent who are good enough to get us promoted, don't we?
I think that's the problem with Roberts, isn't it? We know he's a good keeper, but when he was out with his injury, Killip comes in and he did an all right job, but
he's fantastic one-on-one, isn't he, Roberts?
Yeah,
one-on-one
decision making. Yeah.
You can absolutely, put your almost put your mortgage on him in saving a one-on-one. He's that good. But like you say, the trouble is they get injured, and the standard then for the reserve keeper is a bit of a drop in it.
I think that's the worry. That's the main worry for me at minute would be goalkeeper. What have we got? When Roberts goes back, hopefully it won't be that end of season, like you say. But have they got things in place, or are they looking now to replace him? Because we're going to struggle otherwise, I think.
Because we lost two good keepers in the summer. I mean, you look at Brad Collins, and I know sometimes he come in for a bit of a stick. Usually he's kicking and stuff. But he's playing every week for Coventry, who are in playoffs of the Championship. So he's made that step up. He is a good enough keeper. Mark Robbins is picking him every week. He played in that game when they beat Leicester last Saturday. So we've lost two very good keepers, and it's hard to fill that gap, isn't it? But you're right. You hope that the club are looking, and it's like with the contracts with Cole, people like that you're looking ahead and thinking, right, Roberts isn't our player. I think his contract might be up in the summer. We need to be looking at having conversations with them now to see whether Middlesbrough A will sell him, and B, can we nip him before another Championship club gets him. You've got to be at least 6 to 12 months ahead of yourself, haven't you?
Yeah. And Steve, I mean, I said in the intro, I mean, it is January. There's 10, 12 days or whatever left of this transfer window. If nobody leaves and nobody comes in, have we got enough quality stroke players to consolidate where we are, push on, and be in that mix come Blackpool away in May? End of April.
The look, let's just say that the look we're having at the minute is very good. So you'd like to think that we are going to be in mix. However, there is going to come a time where we play as badly as we are playing, and somebody's going to absolutely knock us out at park, and that'll be when bubble will burst for us, and we could end up dropping out at top 6, top 8. So whether we can keep this momentum going, because let's face it, we're in a fantastic position, I know we are, by playing pretty poor football, which is annoying really, because we know we've got players that have got talent. We know we've got players that can do a good job in First Division, probably even in Championship, and they're just not performing. Because as soon as they do, we could quite easily go on a run. Looking at the standard of other teams around us, we could go on a run at, we could overtake Portsmouth. Daft as it sounds, it's that close now. We just need to keep winning and winning and winning, and we could do that. Whether we will or not is a completely different matter. But we need 2 or 3 players, whether they're loans to get us up, but then we'll struggle because we haven't got a good enough team for Championship, nowhere near.
And is it fair to say, Ian, that we've also got players that maybe could benefit to get minutes with other clubs? I mean, if you look at, we've just bought Pines. Steve just discussed. I mean, we've got a decent set of defenders to choose from. Cundy is not mentioned. McCarthy's obviously gone on loan to Swindon for the end of the season. You're looking at a Josh Benson, Wolf. I mean, there's Marsh. There's quite a few players, isn't there, that at one point featured and now don't feature that much, to ease the wage load and I suppose for the long-term benefit. Do these need some minutes elsewhere, or because we're just carrying them, really, aren't we? Like, they're not really. Like, when's the last time Benson had a couple of minutes on the pitch and you thought, ooh, because he's not really making a name for himself? Marsh, all that with the FA Cup when we brought him in and he started, I think, against Horsham in the replay. I don't think he's played since. I don't think he's been in the squad. It just seems that we seem to carry a lot of players and paying a lot of wages for players that we don't see. Is this a good opportunity to maybe see if they can get football elsewhere?
I think so, yeah. I think Collins has had a look at all of them because Marsh was in the squad August, September. Certainly August because he came off the bench in a few games. So he's seen him, he's had a look at him. I agree. I think there's a few players that are a bit of a muchness that I don't think they're going to be championship material or they're not showing it. And they might be all right League One players. But while we're paying them, get them out on loan because you can always recall them. You can always bring them back if we have an injury crisis or anything. Get them playing, get them because it's not only like playing and confidence. It's match fitness as well, isn't it? If we suddenly had a couple of defenders go down and you had to bring somebody in, they've not played for months. They're going to be really rusty, aren't they? So it makes sense to ship a few out and just go away, lads. Go and have a good few months, see how it happens. They did it with Moon, didn't they? And Moon had a great time at Burton and then sold. We got some money for him. So, yeah, definitely. We can't just have him warming the bench, can we?
No. Steve, next up then, two away matches against teams higher than us. Stevenage, Oxford, interesting both. What I've wondered, I was looking back because obviously I'm still off work, so I watch a lot of interviews. The Valerian Ismail era, and Valerian Ismail and Duff in a way never really veered away from how we wanted to play, and it didn't matter if we'd played Man City in a cup or York City. We were very much about the press, lots of people forward. Blah, blah, blah. We saw that in the first 15, 20 minutes against Bristol Rovers at home. Very much that high press. They could hardly get to the ball. And then we play Carlisle and it sort of disappears again. Is that a player thing? Does it feel that sometimes maybe Collins is too worried about the opposition and we try and stop what they offer rather than imposing our play onto them? Because at Stevenage, we were 1-0 behind. I know we turned it round. McAtee and Kane scored, and we won 2-1 when we played them at home, which was only in December. But I suppose 6 points, 6 playoff points up for grabs if we're serious about going up in May. So should we stick more to our own game plan, whatever the game plan might be? Or do you feel that sometimes he tries to maybe nullify the opposition before playing his own game?
I think we desperately need a game plan. I think we desperately need a style of football that we can hang on to, that we can sort of impose on other teams. You look at all your top teams, and they have a style of play. You know how Pep's going to set up. You know how Pep's going to play. You know how Jurgen Klopp's going to play. It's that sort of thing, and yeah, you do get found out by other teams, of course you do, but you don't adapt as much as we do to how other teams play. You tweak things. If you've got your first 11 or your first 16 squad, you know what them players can do and are capable of. So you don't have to change it to the extent that we do. I don't think you tweak it a little bit. And whether that's just down to his inexperience, lack of knowledge, I don't know. I don't know what you would say it is. But I think he does think too much about what other teams are doing. He needs to concentrate on us, for me. Set out a style of play he wants to play, and rather than just doing like for like substitutions and substitutions in the last 15, 20 minutes, which are neither use nor ornament. Look at maintaining that style of play, but maybe with a different formation. So you change from 5-3-2 or whatever, 3-5-2, back to a back four. And you look at still playing that same style of football, but with a slightly different formation. But at the minute, I think he's still finding his feet. I'm not saying, Collins out or all this sort of thing. But I do think that the position we're in the league, it covers a multitude of cracks that I think we've still got in club.
How important is the next two? How important are the next two matches, Ian? Because it's a measure, isn't it? We keep saying, and Adam said it yesterday on Football Heaven, against the better teams or the teams higher up than us, not necessarily better. I suppose the table doesn't lie. we've struggled. Now we've got 2 in a row. We're on a 10-match unbeaten run. There is nothing more in our favour, probably, than the form we're in. And that sounds really silly after narrowly escaping losing 3-0 against Carlisle. But how important are these 2 matches? Because, others above us are stuttering a little bit. Is it Bolton that's still got a game in hand? Are they FA Cup coming up as well, I believe?
Yeah,
or...
they're going to have a massive. Well, they got knocked out against Luton, didn't they, the other night? And then they're in that rustic car cup away at Blackpool as well. So they've got a fixture problem. I think the Cheltenham game where they're one of their fans, Bolton fan, passed away during the game. Is next week as well. They've rescheduled it really quickly, so they are going to have a problem. In terms of the 2 games, they're a massive yardstick. I think what's going for us is they're away from home, and I think we're better away from home. We're set up better away from home. 2 tough games, real yardstick about are we serious? Top 6. We'll only know after these 2 away games. I feel more comfortable as being away than being at Oakwell. Stevenage a bit gone off a boil a little bit. I think we've got a good chance there. Oxford's always a tough place to go. I'd take 4 out of 6, I think. Well, I mean, I'd love 6 out of 6, but I think 4 out of 6 won't be bad because you've got to realise in the next 4 games, it's not just Stevenage and Oxford. We've got a home game then with Exeter, which should be winnable, and then away to Bolton. So 3 tough away games out of the next 4. But it'd just be typical of our season so far that we get really good 3 away performances or good results and then balls it up at home to Exeter, isn't it? Like we nearly did against Carlisle.
I
have to ask before Steve starts packing his
packed, mate, ready to go. Ready to go. Mankini is in, G-string, everything.
Have you packed your leather thong?
He's wearing it now.
Too warm for leather. Too warm for I'm going to go au naturel, some coconut oil. Just keep rubbing it in. Not telling you where I'm rubbing it in, but it's ordinary.
with that vision in mind,
Beautiful.
Steve.
I run about my head, by the way.
Yeah. Stevenage away. Result and first Barnsley goal scorer, if there is one. Stevenage
away, I think, will be difficult because obviously we beat them up here, but not that long ago. I'm going to go 2-1. And I hope, please, that if he plays, and I hope he does, that Luca Connell gets a goal because I think he wants one. I think he needs one to get him going again.
Ian?
Although I think it'll be tough, I fancy us 2-0 and McAtee.
Yeah, the home match was McAtee and Kane. I'll go 3-1.
For a change. Just for a change.
Because it's my favourite score, thanks to the Andersley Reds. I'll go with Devante Cole. I think Cole will, he's hit one of those patches again, isn't he? Where he scores for so many and then he lets McAtee have a bit and then, and yeah, let's see. We'll not talk about Oxford because it's far too far. When we meet next week and Steve is back and old tanned and everything else, how many points extra will we have on the board, Steve?
3.
I'll go 4.
So are you missing both games?
Yeah.
Oh, right. I'll go 4.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll get out at Oxford, personally.
If we're going to go into it, I think it's a draw, but I think Kane will score because Oxford. But yeah, Steve, enjoy your golfing trip. Don't forget to come back. Don't forget to come back.
I might. Who knows? It's too cold outside.
And you know the rule: no more than 50 quid on souvenirs for myself and Ian. You know that, when you don't spend any more. All right.
And what goes on tour stays on tour.
It certainly does. I'm going to bring one of them wooden penis bottle openers that you can buy.
Oh, it's not here. It's downstairs. Yeah, I've got a Crete one. Lovely. Ian, you're back at work tomorrow?
Yes, but it's Friday, so all good in the world.
Very good. Lads, we'll meet again next week, and let's see how far our predictions were off this week. You have been listening to the Reds Report. We will be back next week. Happy holiday, Steve. Good luck at work tomorrow, Ian. And thank you for listening.